On pirate ships, one job was so filthy and hated that crew members did everything they could to avoid it. It was rough, disgusting, and always dumped on the lowest man aboard. But here's the twist. Without it, the entire ship would fall apart. This unfortunate soul was called the swabber, and their daily routine would make your worst chores look easy. While other pirates swung from ropes and fired cannons, the swabber had one main responsibility: the worst job, but also the most important. Most pirates saw this job as the absolute bottom of the ship's hierarchy. It was often given to new crew members or used as punishment for pirates who had messed up badly. Nobody volunteered for swabber duty, and those who ended up with the job usually had no other choice. Getting stuck with swabber duty was about as popular as volunteering to be shark bait. Despite being treated as the lowest position, the swabber's work was absolutely crucial for keeping everyone alive. Without someone constantly cleaning and maintaining basic sanitation, the entire crew would quickly become sick, weak, or dead. The irony was thicker than the grime they cleaned every day. But what exactly did this crucial yet disgusting work involve? The daily routine of a swabber would make anyone grateful for modern plumbing. Every morning, they started by dealing with waste that had accumulated overnight. Pirates didn't have bathrooms, so human waste ended up in buckets, corners, or wherever someone happened to be when nature called. Cleaning up after 30 unwashed pirates was harder than herding cats, except cats at least bury their business. Spoiled food was another constant nightmare. Ships carried barrels of salted meat and hardtack that often went bad during long voyages. When food spoiled in tropical heat, it became a breeding ground for maggots, flies, and bacteria. The swabber had to dig through these disgusting barrels, remove rotten portions, and clean containers for reuse. Vomit covered every surface on a pirate ship. Seasickness affected even experienced sailors during rough weather, and the combination of poor food, cheap rum, and constant motion meant someone was always throwing up somewhere. The swabber scrubbed vomit off decks, walls, and equipment multiple times per day. Chamber pots added another layer of disgust. Higher-ranking pirates had personal waste containers in their quarters, and emptying these fell to the swabber. Nothing ruins your respect for authority quite like having to clean their chamber pot every morning. The smell from these containers was overwhelming, especially in tropical heat where everything rotted faster. Rats were everywhere on ships, and dealing with them became another swabber responsibility. These rodents ate food supplies, spread disease, and left droppings everywhere. The swabber killed rats, disposed of bodies, and cleaned up their mess. Sometimes they found entire families of dead rats in hard-to-reach places. When crew members got sick, the swabber cleaned makeshift medical areas and washed contaminated bedding. They worked without protection, often barefoot or with rags wrapped around their hands, constantly exposed to whatever diseases were spreading through the crew. This constant exposure to filth and disease had consequences that went far beyond just being unpleasant. Disease spreads through pirate ships faster than bad news in a small town. The cramped, dirty conditions created perfect environments for deadly infections that could wipe out entire crews. Dysentery, typhus, scurvy, and gangrene were common killers that claimed more pirate lives than any naval battle ever did. Ships that started with full crews often returned with half their men dead or dying. The famous pirate ship Whydah serves as a perfect example. When it sank, only 2 people out of over 140 crew members survived. That survival rate makes winning the lottery look easy. While a storm delivered the final blow, the crew was already weakened by disease and poor living conditions. Pirates understood the connection between filth and sickness. They noticed that crews on cleaner ships stayed healthier longer and fought more effectively. The problem was that keeping a ship clean required someone to do the work nobody wanted to do. Infections could spread through a crew in just days. One sick pirate could contaminate food, water, or sleeping areas, quickly infecting dozens of others. Getting gangrene on a pirate ship was worse than getting a computer virus, except instead of losing your files, you lost your limbs. The British Navy lost 1 out of every 6 sailors to illness rather than combat. Pirates with worse conditions and no medical support likely had even higher death rates. Water contamination was another major killer. Fresh water stored in barrels for months became breeding grounds for bacteria that could kill within days. Dirty decks created additional hazards during storms and battles. Slippery surfaces from accumulated grime caused pirates to lose their footing when they needed sure footing most. Without the swabbers' constant work, ships quickly became floating death traps. But the connection between cleanliness and survival went deeper than most pirates realized. Pirates lived by their ability to fight, and fighting required healthy, strong crews. A ship full of sick, weak pirates couldn't board enemy vessels, operate cannons, or handle the physical demands of life at sea. You can't exactly intimidate merchant ships when your crew is too weak to lift a sword above their waist. Combat effectiveness dropped dramatically when crews became sick. Pirates needed quick reflexes, physical strength, and coordination to succeed in raids. Diseases left men too weak to fight effectively, while infections affected their ability to think clearly and react quickly. The physical demands of sailing required constant manual labor. Raising sails, operating the wheel, loading cannons, and maintaining rigging all demanded strength and coordination. Running a pirate ship required more teamwork than a circus act, except if someone dropped the ball, everybody died. Sick crew members couldn't perform these essential tasks, forcing healthy pirates to work double shifts. Dirty conditions created combat hazards that could kill pirates faster than enemy swords. Slippery decks became dangerous during fights when quick movement meant the difference between life and death. Pirates needed secure footing to swing weapons, fire guns, and dodge enemy attacks. Ship maintenance suffered when crews became too sick to work properly. Damaged sails, broken rigging, or leaking hulls that weren't repaired could doom a ship during storms or battles. Stamina was crucial during long raids or extended voyages. A tired pirate crew was about as effective as a chocolate teapot in battle. The swabbers' unglamorous work directly contributed to keeping crews strong enough to fight and healthy enough to enjoy whatever treasure they managed to steal. However, the swabbers' influence extended beyond just keeping things clean. Despite being treated as the lowest crew member, the swabber actually held a unique position of knowledge and influence. While everyone else focused on specific duties, the swabber moved through every area of the ship, observing everything and everyone. Being the ship's cleaner was better than being a fly on the wall because nobody paid attention to what you were doing. The swabber knew which crew members were getting sick before anyone else did. They cleaned up evidence of illness and saw early signs of disease outbreaks. This information was valuable because it allowed them to warn others or trade knowledge for better treatment. They also witnessed private conversations and secret activities while working. Pirates plotting against the captain, crew members stealing supplies, or officers breaking rules all became known to the observant swabber. People reveal more secrets when they think the person mopping their floor isn't really listening. The swabber's access to supplies gave them additional influence. They knew exactly how much food was left, where weapons were stored, and which areas needed repairs. During crises, this knowledge made them unexpectedly important to crew survival. If a swabber became sick, refused to work, or died, the ship's conditions went downhill faster than a cannonball. Losing your swabber was worse than losing your cook because at least bad food won't kill you in 3 days. Captains sometimes found themselves forced to listen to swabber complaints because the job was essential. Some swabbers used their position to build alliances with specific crew members, gaining protection and support. Their constant movement also made them natural messengers for crew members who wanted to communicate without being overheard by officers. Despite wielding this quiet influence, the swabber's daily reality remained harsh. The financial rewards for being a swabber were as disappointing as finding an empty treasure chest. While other pirates received shares of captured treasure, swabbers typically got the smallest portions or sometimes no gold at all. Getting paid as a swabber was about as rewarding as winning a contest where the prize was more work. Many swabbers received payment in basic necessities rather than money. Extra food rations, cheap rum, or worn-out clothing often substituted for their share of treasure. This system kept them dependent on the crew's goodwill and prevented them from saving enough to leave the ship. The living conditions for swabbers were the worst on the ship. They slept in the dampest, smallest spaces available, often near the areas they cleaned all day. A swabber's bedroom had about as much appeal as a wet coffin. The smell from their quarters was usually unbearable. Work hours for swabbers extended far beyond those of other crew members. While pirates took breaks between raids, ships always needed cleaning. The swabber's job never ended because waste and mess accumulated constantly. They worked from sunrise to sunset without significant rest. Recognition for their essential work was non-existent. Pirates wrote songs about brave fighters and successful captains, but nobody composed ballads about the person who kept their ship livable. There's never been a famous pirate story called The Swabber's Adventure, and there never will be. Some pirates use swabber duty as punishment, adding humiliation to already miserable conditions. The combination of terrible pay, awful working conditions, long hours, and no recognition created a position that most pirates simply endured. Yet for some ambitious souls, even this terrible situation could become something more. The swabber position provided an unusual education in pirate ship operations. While other crew members focused on specific skills, swabbers learned about every aspect of ship life. Starting as a swabber was the most disgusting apprenticeship program ever created, but it came with a complete education in piracy. This comprehensive knowledge made some swabbers valuable candidates for promotion when higher positions became available. They understood food and water supplies, knew reliable workers, and had observed daily routines that kept everything functioning. The position taught important lessons about surviving in the harsh hierarchy of pirate ships. Swabbers learned to work with difficult people, handle disgusting tasks without complaining, and find ways to make themselves useful. Nothing teaches you about managing people quite like spending months cleaning up their messes. The physical and mental toughness required for swabber duty prepared pirates for other challenges. Anyone who could handle months of disgusting, exhausting work without giving up had proven their determination and resilience. However, promotion from swabber was rare and usually required exceptional circumstances, such as deaths among higher-ranking crew members. Moving up from swabber was harder than finding an honest politician in a pirate crew. Most swabbers remained in their positions until they died, quit piracy, or found ways to join different crews. The swabber's story reveals how the most important jobs are often the least appreciated. Even in the violent world of piracy, someone had to handle the basic tasks that kept everyone alive and healthy. Without the swabber's unglamorous but crucial work, the golden age of piracy would have ended much sooner.